We're here at the finish of the Mount Baldy stage, Stage 7 at the Amgen Tour of California. And in light of all the news that's come out surrounding Tyler Hamilton, George Hincapie, and so forth this week, a lot of the great racing has been lost here at the Amgen Tour. Take a look back at some of the highlights of the race, starting at Nevada City, Stage 2, where we had a late start with a last-minute cancellation of Stage 1, all the way up to what we have going on at Mount Baldy today, the second mountaintop finish in this race's history, and a ton of action on the road. Stage 1 in South Lake Tahoe was of course canceled on the start line due to dangerous road conditions with snow on the road to North Star at Tahoe. A midnight phone call to Dwayne Strausser at the Nevada City LOC from the 2010 Tour of California landed a new stage start on the western side of the Sierras. By the time teams showed up at 10 a.m., the town was turned over and the racing was ready to begin. The last-minute change didn't cut down on fans. The streets were filled with enthusiastic racing fans, nearly as many as lined the streets a year before when the Amgen Tour kicked off in Nevada City as planned.
Well, we were fortunate, not only the rich history of cycling in Nevada City and its the Nevada City criterion, but the fact that they were our host city last year. They knew the model. They really dusted off the plans from last year and went right to work. I mean, it was a sleepless night for the citizens, our LOC and Nevada City, to get the roads prepared for an onslaught of the start of Stage 1 or 2 in their community.
It wasn't long before Team Sky took over the race. The Brits, in their first try in California, tapped off 2 stage wins to open the week. Ben Swift led them off with a stage win in Sacramento, coming out of the bunch in the finish circuits, and Greg Henderson did the same the next day in Modesto. In their first showing in the Tour of California, Team Sky got off to a roaring start and secured their place at the front of the peloton, pulling the yellow leader's jersey. Jamie Driscoll was a highlight for the American riders in the first 2 days, jumping into breakaways on those first 2 stages. The Jameis Sutterholm rider, who was missing his college graduation at the University of Vermont, he said earlier in the week that he would rather wear the most courageous jersey than a cap and gown this week, and he had the ability to do that. At the start of Stage 4, we had a somber moment with the Leopard Trek team called to the front of the peloton before the neutral rollout. Hours after their teammate Walter Wayland was buried in Ghent, Belgium, Andy Schleck, Jens Vogt, and the other Leopard riders led the peloton through the streets of Livermore. It was a fitting tribute to their fallen comrade.
It's at some point, the human element of this whole thing comes into play. And, you know, these guys get put in a box and beat up on so many things, and then you realize that what they're really doing is putting on a show for us. And, you know, sometimes I'm not sure if the piper is being paid correctly right now. And I appreciate every one of these racers, collectively, from the 10-year-olds that we see at a USA Cycling National Championship to the top pros like Jens Vogt. But obviously the guys, when they're that impacted by something, for us not to recognize that and honor Wouter and what happened would have been a disservice to the sport.
The mood wasn't somber for long in Stage 4, and when an elite group reached the base of the Sierra Grade climb, Chris Horner and Rory Sutherland were among the riders to set out on a fiery pace towards the race's first ever mountaintop finish. Horner from Radio Shack rode his way solo to the top of the climb to take the stage win and the leader's jersey, his face drawn in the familiar painful smile that he holds. Sutherland from United Healthcare was among the surprises to make the first chase group. The Big Aussie climbed with Levi Leipheimer, among others, and ended up coming through on the stage third. Sutherland later said that he felt superhuman on Sierra Grade, and he shot up the general classification. Before Horner and Sutherland took over on Sierra Grade, Pat McCarty from Spider-Tech C10 featured in a long breakaway and earned the King of the Mountains jersey. The former U.S. Postal and Phonak Pro Tour rider made his way the next day into another long breakaway, this time helped by teammate Swain Tuft, who pulled the rider across a 45-second gap and into the day's long break. McCarty took top points at the second and fourth KOMs, and second points on the third KOM to move into a more secure hold on his jersey.
You know, the break was formed, 4 guys were away, and we're kind of rolling along, and Radio Shack was still keeping it close, but then they looked like they were about to sit up, and I was next to Swain like, well, shit, you know, like, this isn't good, like, it's rolling away, and what do you think? And was kind of cursing that I was having a bad day, and he's like, well, it's like, you want me to take you across? And it was kind of like, well, what's the gap, you know? And I thought I could see the caravan cars kind of going around a corner. The caravan car's in the back of the break, and I was like, and then a Rabobank guy went just then, and he's like, it's 45 seconds. It's like, really? Well, let's go.
I looked over at Pat, and I just said, all right, let's go across. And he's just like, I think he thought it was a lot further off than that. I'm like, it's 45 seconds, you know, we can do it. And there's a Rabobank guy kind of halfway across, and so we just you know, took a shot, and it's funny how some things just work. But I think it's good on Radio Shack because they realize, you know, we're not there to try and load up the brake anymore. We just want Pat in there to lock down the jersey. So yeah, it's an awesome ride on him, and just lucky timing, I think, too.
Friday in Solvang was a show for the men and the women. The Women's International Time Trial Challenge took the roads earlier in the day. Kristen Armstrong, months removed from giving birth to her first child and firmly en route to the London 2012 Olympic Games, came in focused on a win here. A time trial win in Solvang would be her first since her comeback, and she laid it on. Armstrong, the defending gold medalist in the Olympic time trial, handily took the win over riders that included second place Amber Neben and third place Charlotte Becker from HTC High Road. The women's field was star-studded, and Armstrong's win was a firm sign that she's on the road to London 2012.
You know, going to London and participating is not interesting to me. I want to win. So if I'm not top in America, then hey, congratulations. Somebody else go, because I really want to be the best again.
Hours later, Dave Zabriskie took the course. The Garmin Cervelo rider, fresh off a time trial win at Tour of Romandy earlier this month, shot to a course record on the hilly time trial. At the post-stage press conference, Zabriskie said that vengeance was his after missing out narrowly on the time trial in Solvang in past years to Levi Leipheimer. The big show came on Saturday, the second ever mountaintop finish for the Amgen Tour of California. A long, hot day with over 11,000 feet of climbing carried riders to Mount Baldy ski area. Chris Horner, Levi Leipheimer, and Matt Boucher put on a Radio Shack show on that climb after their teammates delivered them to the base in perfect position. Boucher led the three riders onto the base of the climb, scooped up much of the long breakaway, and when he faded, Leipheimer took off, Horner in his wheel. The two Radio Shack leaders, who came into the race sharing leadership duties as protected riders, rode away from their rivals. Andy Schleck faded, Lawrence Tendam faded, Sutherland faded. The two veterans from Radio Shack rode away alone onto the upper slopes of the climb, at some points eclipsing 15% gradient. They came across the line together, hand in hand, celebrating a dominant performance on the slopes of the biggest mountain to ever grace the Tour of California.
There is nobody that can say, oh, Horner's not one of the best Americans. I won Tour of Georgia back in the day. I won Olympic trials in '96. I won San Francisco in 2003. I've led the Saturn team. I've led the teams as small as Webcor. I've led teams now as big as Radio Shack. So my career has been filled for the last 20, 25 years. I've had results, and I don't think that anybody, and I have the facts to back it up, just with my resume, can say anything different.